Welcome, Sonder fam, to our June monthly setup. I appreciate you all hanging out and listening to the music. I always like to give people a few minutes to hop on because I know a lot of the times I'm that person that's running a little late or having technical trouble. So we're so glad that you're here with us and that you made it and ready to welcome in June. I cannot believe that it is already time. So if you're new, welcome. We're super excited to have you. It's going to be a really great time for you to get some tips and tricks with getting started with your journal. And if you are a longtime Sonderer like me, welcome back. You already know how much fun we have here together and how wonderful it is to hang out with the community. My name is Bailey Grady, and I will be your facilitator this evening as we go through our June monthly setup. If you haven't already, please make sure that you change that little chat bubble there on your screen, the little blue one, to everyone. A lot of the times it will default to host and panelist. And if it says that, then not everyone will be able to see what you have to say. And this is as much an opportunity to hang with the fellow members of the Sonder fam as it is to get your journal set up. So we want you to be able to interact with one another and share. So make sure that you have that chat box set to everyone so that you can do that. As always, you are welcome to take pictures as we go along of what you see on the screen, take screenshots. You can take pictures of your journal, your setup supplies, your space. We would love to see it in Sonder Club. And you can also tag us, of course, on Instagram and TikTok and all the other socials at Silk and Sonder. So let's get into it. And before we do, you know we have to go over our community guidelines. So be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam, please. Respect everyone's privacy. What happens in Sonder Social stays in Sonder Socials. Limit repetitive product and accessory questions, if you will. We don't mind a little bit of chat about pins and stickers and all the fun stuff, but we only have an hour and 15 minutes together. That's right, an hour and 15 minutes together. The monthly socials are just a little bit longer. A lot of our other socials are about an hour. But even with that extra 15 minutes, time always seems to go by so fast. So we do want to try to keep the conversation relevant to what we have in front of us. And then myself and the amazing Katie, who is all the way in Scotland, being the fabulous stage manager today, hanging out in the chat. She's hopping on to say hey. We are not able to access your subscriptions or tracking info. We don't do anything on the back end with the technical stuff or anything like that. So if you did have trouble getting on today, anything like that, we're going to direct you over to the team at HQ so that they can look into that and get you answers. Their email is hello@silkandsonder.com. And finally, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So what that means is that sometimes things get a little deep in Sonder Club and in our Sonder Socials here. We want to create a space where you feel like you can share, you can be open, and you can be vulnerable. And that means sharing hard things sometimes. And so if we ever have something that is bringing up some hard feelings that maybe you're not ready to engage with, that is okay. You do not have to do that today. You can make the decision to pause, to take a break. We're going to be playing music. You can just jam out to the music, whatever it is that you need to do. And then when we move on to the next thing, you can come back to it. Also, you'll notice, obviously, you don't have to worry about your cameras being on or whether or not you're muted. So definitely feel free to get cozy. You can focus just on your journal today and not participate in the chat if that's what you need. If you've already set up your journal and you're mostly here to hang out in the chat, we are here for that as well. We want this time to be whatever you need it to be for you. So definitely give yourself permission to lean into that and to also lean into that same permission when you're interacting with your journal. These journals are amazing, and there's so many things you can do with these pages, and all of the things that are pre-printed in them are great suggestions, but that's all they are, suggestions. So as we go through today, if you find a section that doesn't really speak to you, you need to change it up, you need to try something different, I'm telling you now, if you need somebody to give you permission, here it is. There is no journal police. There is nobody that's going to come and grade your journal, show up in your door and say, you didn't fill this in right. That's not how the circle works. No, none of that's going to happen. What we think is a success with your journal is when you use it for what's right for you. So as we go through, don't be afraid to change things up if that's what you need to do. Our agenda today, Looks like this. We're going to complete our opening activity around our new theme, and then we will reflect on May before we move into June and set our intentions for the next 30 days. And then we'll set up our mood and habit trackers. So, new month, new theme. Goodbye, trust. Hello, thrive. Or maybe it's thank you, trust, and maybe I learned some things, and maybe I'm going to take some of those things with me so that I can thrive better, right? Just because one month and one theme comes to an end doesn't mean that we have to say goodbye to it forever. Hopefully, you are learning new lessons as you go through each and every month, and that you're able to take something from each theme, even if it isn't a theme that resonates with you. Hopefully you're still learning something about yourself in that month that you can help to like propel you forward in the other themes. Thrive is a great theme, and it's one that I feel like is really accessible on the surface. And what I mean by that is, we all want to be thriving, right? Like, who wouldn't want to be thriving? That's the goal for all of us in life, I think, right? Because when you say that word, it's going to evoke some kind of feeling in you. Like for me, it definitely feels like I'm living my best life on vacation in the sun, right? Like it's warm and sunny and shiny outside, and I'm hydrated, and I'm like doing things I enjoy, and the birds are singing, everything is good and happy and well, right? Um, but the reality is we don't get to just like flip a switch and just start thriving. Maybe you're in a season where you're really thriving and you can just tweak a couple things and flip a switch almost and really get into that next gear. And if that's you, then that is amazing. And we are super excited for you. And we want you to share that season that you're in because it can really help to propel the rest of us that maybe are not quite there yet. And if you're not quite there yet, that is totally normal. Like, I'm here to tell you right now, it is completely normal enough to not be able to just flip a switch, turn it on, and automatically be thriving in every area of your life. I really love this quote that's up on the screen in the top left here that says, "You do not just wake up and become the butterfly. Growth is a process," right? We also have this go where you feel most alive, and it's not about winning. What it's about is not giving up. If you have a dream, fight for it. Flowers need time to bloom, and so do you. So, what all of this is trying to say is it takes time to figure out what we need to thrive, what areas where we need to focus our attention, and how do we get time and space and make that something that we can focus on, right? So, really, if we're going to thrive and blossom and bloom and flourish and grow, as somebody shared this really adorable little doodle in Sonder Club, and if we're going to do that, it really starts with checking in with ourselves and taking time and figuring out what we need. Every month, Meha writes this wonderful opening letter about the theme. And I think that's always a really good place to start, especially if you get a theme like Thrive, where you're like, I know what that means, but how do I do it? And, obviously we are welcoming in summer here, but she mentions a couple things that I really want to touch on. So she talks about in the summertime going to summer camps, and, there was excitement and fear because every week was something new. And I think that what that speaks to is that sometimes in order to thrive, we have to change things up a bit. We talk a lot about getting outside of our comfort zones, right? And like trying something different, trying something new, not being afraid to like book that pottery class, right? I think I was in a social a couple nights ago, and I think maybe it was Pamela that shared that she finally booked a pottery class. She had always been wanting to go, and it was amazing, right? Sometimes we have to take that leap, we have to make the jump, we have to do the thing and try it out to really find something new that is really going to help us get in a groove, and that's going to help all of our other gears start flowing, right? But also, while we do talk a lot about getting outside of our comfort zone, it's also okay to want the comfort. And especially when we're talking about something like thrive, because the best way for you to thrive is to make sure you're taking care of yourself, you are looking at your needs, and you're making them a priority. And so if you're in a season where things feel very much out of your comfort zone and it's a lot of chaos and it's a lot of busy, then you may actually need to get into your comfort zone a little bit. You need to figure out what aligns you, right? And allows you to show up as your best self. And how can you make that happen for you more consistently? So, really checking in and asking yourself, what do you need? If this time next week, next month, next year, you want to be in a situation where you have this theme of thrive and you're like, yes, I'm here, I'm in this season, it's happening for me. What needs to happen to get you there? What do you need to make that feel accessible? So, all that to say, the one last thing I'll share from Mayha's letter is that she kind of gives us this invitation, right? She says, "This month, I want you to imagine what it might feel like to thrive holistically, to feel pure joy across all areas of your life. What does that harmonious state of fulfillment feel like? And what might you have to do differently in order to invite the opportunity to thrive? To create space to thrive, we often have to say no to things that get in the way. I urge you to notice what feels like an obligation versus what feels aligned with your growth. This month is about creating space to thrive by cultivating habits that energize us and distance ourselves from those that drain us. Envision the ideal state, a life where you are thriving in every sense, and let that vision fuel your actions and choices, judgment free." So, what I hear from that is an invitation to check in, to get deep, to ask those questions, and I hear a lot of ways that we can use the tools in our journal to help us. So, we are going to do our opening activity around this wonderful theme, and then we're going to get into those journals. So, go ahead and flip to a blank page or space in your journal. This is not something that is pre-printed, so really any blank space will do. I actually did this on the back of my journal, like just on the actual back like cover of it. And we're going to do a Thrive acrostic poem. We've been doing these acrostic poems to kind of welcome in our theme each month this year. And it's been really neat to see how each theme kind of changes and how those poems turn out. So think about some things that come to mind when you think of the word thrive. Don't second guess yourself, just write them down and try to come up with at least 6 words or phrases that describe what thrive means to you. Now see how you can work it into a poem where the first letter of each line is a letter from the word thrive. You can do sentences, one word, sets of words for each line, etc. So you can start by just writing a word down the center of the page and then thinking of those words that, start with T that make you think of thrive or H that make you think of thrive. And then here are some examples that came from, all of the little fun AI robots and things that are out there now when we ask them to make a Thrive acrostic poem. And as I go through here and give you time to work on your poems, I will go back through all of these examples. So if you need a little boost of creativity or inspiration, you'll be able to look at those. But I really like these that came from Sonder Club. So mine's in like the middle center. So you can see where I wrote it on the back of the journal. But all of these other ones came from fellow Sonder fam folks. So you can see there's time and trial, happiness is the end, revel in learning, insight to prosper, vigorous growth, endless movement forward, true to myself, healing my past, reaching beyond the comfort zone, intentionally living, visualizing my future, enjoying the little things. And then in the top left, you can see how they didn't make the first word their word within the poem. So you can really tweak this and make it work for you, whatever works best for you. And if you don't want to do thrive, if you really get stuck on one of those letters, or it doesn't speak to you, or maybe you already did thrive and you want to do another one, you can always do one for June as well if you'd like to. So I will flip back through all of these and I will put on some music for you to work on your poems. Share in the chat with us how they turn out. We would love to see them. And then we'll get started in our journals. right. Thank you all for working on your poems. If you're still working, that is okay. You may come to one of our other sections and find that you don't need quite as much time, and so maybe you can flip back to it. But we are now going to begin our main event, which is getting into this June monthly planner. So we're going to start with May Reflections, which is going to be on page 8. So thinking back on May and thinking about what wins we had, like what went well, what maybe like surprised us. A win can be something really small or something really big. And sometimes things that we think are small are actually huge. So I love this invitation to really think back and be intentional about thinking about the last month and what's happened. Likewise, we want to recognize what challenges we had because here we are. We made it. So, challenging or not, it's another month and you have made it through. Even if that challenge is still ongoing, you're here and you're working on you because you're engaging with this journal. And that's so important no matter what we're going through, is to make time for ourselves. We also want to talk about favorite moments. I know several people like to kind of go back through their journals at the end of the year and just kind of read through those favorite moments. It's always a great way to kind of recap the year. And of course, what do we want to start, stop, and continue as we go into June? So I have days where I truly have to think very hard about what I had for breakfast just a few hours before. So if you are like me, and you need to kind of refresh your memory about what has happened over the last 31 days or so, you can always reference to your phone. That helps me a lot. I usually look at my calendar app to kind of see what appointments went on, what happened, and then I also look through my photos and things as well. So that can be helpful to kind of jog your memory. My reflections are there up on the screen. So I had a successful trip with my bestie to Disney. I had a little bit of apprehension around that just because she and I never traveled together before. Shocker, we did great. Of course we did. We're best friends. We shared space super well together. We communicated really well, and we had a great time. My work-life balance is a lot better this month than it has been the last couple months, and I'm getting better about getting back on track with consistently tracking in my journal. I had some backsliding on boundaries last month with some family members and things. Just I am learning that I tend to take responsibility for other people's emotions sometimes, and that I also have a tendency to try to parent my parent. And so I'm working on that, but sometimes it's hard. You fall back into those patterns and things. And then we've had a lot of storms and things in the area lately, and my storm anxiety is just on another level these days. So also working through that. And then my favorite moments, obviously that Disney trip. And then I also got to take a trip to our local cat cafe and play with the rescue kitties and stuff. And yes, that is one of my rescue kitties back there. That's Rocket. So it was really fun. It was a great day. Um, this month, I want to start being intentional with my free time, stop spending time on social media, and allowing flexibility in my goals for my continue. I have a few more examples to share here from the Sonder fam of some stop, starts, and continues, and then some reflection on the screen that I believe are actually an older one of Katie's. She told me when we were going through these earlier. And then these are some ones that people just did and posted a couple days ago. I love the little bunny stickers. So I will flip through all of these examples while all of you think about your reflections and just think about May and what that was like and say, either thank you so much, we'll miss you, or thank you so much, good riddance, and we will move into June. So I'll put on some music for you to reflect. So that will let us wrap up May and make space for us to move into June. So we are going to start June on page 9 by thinking about our intentions. So there are categories there in front of you. Obviously, they are spiritual health, personal life, physical health, key relationships, money management, and professional goals. But as I mentioned at the very beginning of this social, if one of those categories doesn't speak to you, it doesn't fit your life, it doesn't fit the season you're in right now, change it. If you only need 4 intentions, leave 2 of them blank. Put doodles, put stickers. If you need to, make more intentions, you're planning on really leaning into this thrive and you have a lot of energy and momentum going into summer and you need to like divide them up into more quadrants, more power to you. You go for it. So you can use the theme of Thrive to set your intentions. Focus on one area, such as self-love or self-talk. Use a name of a song or tune or song lyrics that inspire you. You could use quotes. You could think about how you want to feel this month in each area and then kind of brainstorm from there. And of course, use stickers, colors, images, get creative. You could also write one thing you want to let go of and one thing you want to start doing. Here are some different ways that you might consider changing some of these categories if one of them is just not feeling it for you. So you've got like the pre-printed stuff there on the screen, and then inside of the boxes are some suggestions there. So if spiritual health doesn't resonate with you, maybe it's mental health or just connection. If you're somebody that is retired, maybe professional goals doesn't fit anymore. So maybe you want to change that to learning goals, creative goals, gardening goals, vacation goals. We had somebody in a social last night that said they're a teacher and so they're out for the summer and so they're changing that to vacation goals for this month. And then we have lots of the little like national, like every month is a national something month, and Maya has started kind of adding these in there for us, and I really appreciate it. I think it's kind of a fun way to just like pay more attention to things as the month goes on and think about things. So maybe one of those could spark something for you as well. With it being National Candy Month, if you're somebody that likes to doodle, maybe you want to do some little candy doodles on your intentions. Also, so our word is thrive. There are 6 letters in the word thrive, and there are 6 intention boxes. So if you think about that acrostic that we did at the beginning, do any of those lines feed into any of these categories? Like, can you build off of that intention you thought about when you thought about thrive and you built that poem? Can you carry that into this section here? So all just suggestions, right? Like I said at the beginning, what's in the journal, what's on the screen, all of it is just possibility. You can decide to take one of these things and run with it. It is not stealing, it is not borrowing, it is your journal. So it's going to be unique to you no matter what you do. Or you can come up with something totally different. We just want you to make it work for you. So here are some examples where people used stickers and pictures to kind of set their theme for their intentions. Over on the left-hand side, somebody went with different quotes that spoke to them for each of these categories. On the right is more quotes, but then also specific actions that go along with those intentions to kind of remind why that quote was selected. Of course, you can always just do like a color and a word or something really simple, something really broad, like this lean in, slow down, be present, right? I kind of have been gravitating towards that for my intentions the last several months. And then again, that reminder again that you can completely change all of these if you need to, because that's exactly what this person on the left did. They went ahead and changed every single one of those categories. And then the person on the right is starting each section with, I will thrive by. I wanted to share a couple ideas from our chats over the last couple of nights. So Dinah had shared that they start the categories with I feel and then think of 3 ways to achieve that goal. And then Georgie shared that they like to use the theme when setting their intentions. So this month they're starting each section with I thrive when I. So you've got I will thrive by, and then I thrive when I do X, Y, and Z there. So here are mine. You've got my May intentions there on the left, my June intentions on the right. They look kind of similar. You can see in May, I decided that, I had a very specific word or overall intention in mind for 4 of the categories. But for the other 2, I didn't, and so I just kinda skipped it. I just put a sticker there that made the most sense to me for that category and ran with it. And then this month, I'm just doing single words, and then I decided to put some stickers on there from the sticker pack just to make it more fun. I have not been a sticker person in the past, but I'm learning to be a sticker person, if that makes sense. I got, like, the sticker booklet and decided to give that a try, and I ended up liking it way more than I expected. So now I have the monthly sticker packs, and I'm just learning, like, where they fit and how to use them, and I really like the way that stickers feel. That's something that I've learned in the last month or so is when they're on the page, I really like the, like, sensory feeling I get from touching the page with all the stickers. So all of these are just suggestions, ideas, things to spark your own creativity and to hopefully create ahas about how this will work for you. I will put on some music so you can set up your intentions, and then we'll move into our trackers. Okay, with our intention set, we will now flip on over to our next page, which is going to be page 10. We're going to start getting into those trackers, and we are going to start with our mood tracker. So, mood trackers can help us understand trends and how we're feeling, take notice, and hopefully begin making shifts. Bring tools into what works when positive moods show up for us. So, it's kind of like there's a saying, and I can't remember what the exact saying is, but you can't correct what you don't know, or you can't improve what you don't know. And I think that that is so poignant for the mood tracker. And this is an area that gets repurposed a lot, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. But it's just a really good space to track anything that you're trying to be curious about. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be something you're trying to change or improve, but maybe you're just trying to understand a little bit better what's going on and how something is impacting things. Um, I think it's really great to use the mood tracker in conjunction with the habit tracker as well if you're doing something from that curiosity perspective. So each month we have a mood tracker, but the style of the mood tracker changes. So this month we have the hexagons, and then I believe next month the wheel will be back, if I'm not mistaken. So I know we have some folks that are team wheel, team hexagon, but either way, they both serve their purpose. We do have our feelings wheel here, and I'll definitely come back and share this as you're going through your mood tracker and figuring out how you want to use this for you. If you need some inspiration for moods, we'll bring this back up so that you have it. But a few ways that you can tackle this is you can focus again on that theme of thrive for this month. Again, we have 6 little circles there, and we have 6 letters in the word thrive. So if you're trying to carry that through, maybe there's something creative you can do there. You can fill in every emotion if you are tracking moods that came up that day, or just fill in whatever emotion was the strongest. I know some people really try to track consistent times if they're tracking moods as well. So they pair it with something else. So like Maya has a supplement that she takes in the middle of the day. And so when she takes her supplement, she also tracks her mood. A lot of people will track at the end of the day at bed or first thing in the morning. I think if you are tracking mood or emotions, that's probably a good thing to be mindful of, is if you're able to do it at a consistent time. I know some people will track twice a day as well, like morning and night, or 3 times a day, whatever works for you. You can use stickers to track this, or use like colors and do colored pens or doodles, whatever is going to make this work. I think that is key. I love all the creativity we have in Sonder Club and all the ways that people can like really make this journal theirs. But what's important is to make sure that it's working for you. So whatever you need to do, if you just need to do a little mark, a little symbol, that is a-okay. Go for it. And then a few more ideas from our Sonder fam from some of our other setups. So Katura shared that at the end of the month, they like to count up each feeling and then write the number of times they felt that way. I think that's a really good example of getting curious. And then Katie shared that they treat this like the movie Inside Out, where their bubbles get complex and have different shades through the day. So I know we have Inside Out 2 coming, so that was really a fun thing, I thought. And then over on the left is a mood tracker that was shared in Sonder Club. And the person that shared it said that, on the 30th, clearly they were very anxious. They had some high anxiety that day, and they were feeling some kind of way about it. And I have anxiety, so I can completely relate. Sometimes when you're having a really tough time, it just feels like it's all starting again and it's all going to spiral out of control and all of your bad days are coming back. But she was able to look at her wheel and see, like, oh, actually, my anxiety's really not been that bad this month. I'm just having a really tough day today. And that kind of like regrounded her and brought her back for some perspective. So I thought that was really cool. You can see this person on the right decided to like just color in their hexagons, and then they're going to do stickers for their actual moods. And then the person on the left decided that they were going to track moods, and how big the like color is like saying how big that emotion felt. And I love the way it turned out, because it just looks like a bunch of really pretty like pebbles. And it obviously creates a very like quick thing that you can visualize pretty easily. And then we've got somebody that is using stickers, and they have assigned 2 different emotions for each one of those stickers so that they can track it that way. But like I mentioned, this gets repurposed a lot because it takes up a whole page of real estate in your journal, and it is a great tracking tool no matter what you want to use it for. So you can use it for daily affirmations, you can use it to track anxiety levels, depression levels, energy levels. If you're really focused in on one particular feeling, I know several years ago, it seemed like the only emotion that I was able to easily access was anger. That was the only thing that was just no problem expressing that for me. So if you're trying to get curious about something like that, you can always track on a scale of 1 to 6 a certain feeling that you're having, if it's anger, or maybe it's like exhaustion, maybe it's what makes you feel depleted, right? So here's an example on the left of anxiety. That's actually an old one of mine because I tracked my anxiety levels for several years. And I can tell you, but I can't actually tell you how much of an impact that had in my life, tracking that anxiety and pairing it with my habit tracker and figuring out what things actually made a difference for me, because there were a lot of things that I thought helped that were not, and were not mission critical. And there were a lot of things that I didn't think were super important that it turned out were very important to me, in terms of managing my anxiety. So I did that for several years. And then for a while, I wasn't sure how I wanted to use this because thankfully I've gotten to a place now where I don't feel the need to track my anxiety every day. So for a while, I played around with it. I did like a word a day or a phrase a day and tried different things. But lately, I've been really into tracking energy. I have I struggled at the beginning of the year a lot with a lot of really low energy, and I was really struggling to figure out what was going on. So I started tracking energy, and then I started tracking energy in the weather and energy and like pairing it with habits and trying to figure this out. And I thought that I had figured out that, oh, it's time outside. I need more time outside. If I just spend more time outside, it'll get better. And then I tracked that last month, and guess what? Time outside doesn't have as big of an impact as I thought it did. Certainly not as much of an impact as sleep. I know, duh, right? Like, of course, if you don't sleep, you're gonna be tired. But I can't believe just how much of a difference just 1 hour makes. That was really interesting to me. So, kind of going back to square one with my energy, I do have more energy now that we are fully in summer in general, so it's not as much of a pain point for me. So instead, I'm going to use this as a replenishment tracker for me. One of my habits, you'll see when we get to that point this month, is replenish. And I have these 6 different things that I can do that count as replenishment for myself. I can meditate, I can spend some time outside, I can read, I can spend a day with no social media. I can listen to a podcast or I can play games. That could be video games, board games, trivia night, whatever. So I'm really interested to see what happens there and how many of these things I actually do, if there's something I gravitate more towards something else, and what kind of impact it actually makes. So I'll let you all know how that goes for me. Here are some other examples of ways that you could repurpose. This new no spinge tracker in the top left is really cool, and it might be something that I need to try to do in the near future. I'm a little nervous to like put that front and center, but it's like I said at the beginning, you can't change what you don't know. So I may have to try to look at that myself in a near future month. I love this self-care tracker, and they've used the hexagons kind of as pie pieces. So if they do multiple of those things, they can track them that way. And then Alice had shared that they repurposed the mood tracker as an intend to thrive tracker to match their intentions this month. I love this, both of these super colorful wheels. They're awesome. The mood boost tracker is cool. So it seems like they figured out some habits and things that tend to have a positive impact on their mood. And so they tracked how often they did those things and what kind of activity they did. And then over on the left-hand side, this person was tracking emotions, but they also tracked stress and they tracked like illness and when they were on their cycle so that they were kind of able to see how that impacted things. And on the days where they did not have maybe the best day mood wise, or they did get stressed, they made a note about what happened or what impacted that. And likewise, on their really good days where they were really happy all day, they made a note about what impacted that as well. Whoop, one too far. I'll go back through all of these while you work on your mood tracker and decide how you want to use this for yourself. What is going to work for you? What is going to make a difference, right? Think back to the beginning of the social where we talked about thriving. How can you use this to help you step into that season of thriving this month? right. We are now going to flip over to our last page on page 11, which is our habit tracker. So, habit trackers can help us start new habits, stop doing habits that don't serve us, and continue habits that bring value. And as I mentioned before, this really worked for me in combination with the mood tracker when it came to my anxiety. And so that's something to consider if you are really thinking about what you need to thrive, right? And you're doing something with your mood tracker to kind of keep an eye on that. What kind of habits can support that? If you're going for a certain mood, if you're tracking a certain thing, can you build out habits that are going to support that? Can you build out habits that are going to let you access what you need to make space so that you have the time and the energy to thrive? So you can use thrive as your focus while you're building out this tracker. You can pick a different theme if you need to, like rounded, calm, joy, delight, etc. You can continue habits from last month. That's what I will be doing. I did pretty well last month compared to many months before recently. So I will be keeping those same habits as I move into this month. And try to find a balance between habits you know you can do and ones that are going to be a little bit trickier to commit to. This should never feel like another to do. Your journal should never stress you out. It should never feel like it is making life harder. It should be a tool that is helping you make life easier or get curious about things and make progress and grow. So if it starts to feel stressful, you may have overloaded your plate a little bit, or you might just be putting pressure on yourself. I do that all the time. I set super high expectations of myself that are completely unreasonable. So if you're starting to feel that, check in, slow down, make sure that you're not putting too much on your plate. And remember, you do not have to fill in every line. I also will not be doing that this month. So here are some examples. Obviously, these are both very beautiful and bright and colorful. I do want to point out the one on the left, they have a whole section that just says, "Eek, COVID got me." And I think it's so important to call that out. Like, if you get sick, it's probably a little unreasonable to expect yourself to hit all of your goals, especially if you have set them to be really physically intensive things, right? So sometimes it's important to make note of things that happen to us that are outside of our control and how they impact our habits, and just accept the fact that, like, we're all human and rest is an action and it's a need, and it is something it's not just okay to do, it's something we have to do, and especially when we're not feeling well. So here are some other examples. You can see on the left, this super colorful one, and you can see there's a lot of blank spots in there. And some of that is, they've got physical therapy on there, so they probably didn't have like an appointment every day. And a lot of the times with physical therapy, there are some exercises you're not necessarily supposed to do every day either, because then you can overwork muscles and things. So it looks like some of these activities were not meant to be every single day activities anyway, and that's okay. We do typically recommend, when it comes to the habit tracker, focusing on things you want to do every day, but it's okay to put things in there that you know are not going to be everyday things. And I also want to say that this is a very normal habit tracker. Like, it's amazing when you can hit every single box and it feels good and it looks great, but it's totally normal to have these gaps and things. Mine always looks like that every single month. And then over on the right, this is something new I had not seen somebody do before. So they actually rated how well they did their habit, on a scale from like 0 to 5, where 5 was like they knocked it out of the park and 0 is they didn't do it at all. And so that's why they have a number in every single space, because they tracked every single day, but how well they actually completed or engaged with the habit, like water, for example. Maybe they drank some, so they get like a 1, but they were nowhere near close to their goal, right? I thought that was really different. It's not something I had seen before, so I wanted to share. Both of these are mine, so you can see on the left, this is an old one, and this is typically how I've tracked in my habit tracker in the past. I am typically a one pin girly, nice and simple, whatever is going to make it easier to track. So I always just had little symbols for my habits. And then on the right is my habit tracker from last month, because I'm trying to get better about using the stickers. And I love the way that the stickers look, and I love the way that they feel. The way that this page feels when I touch it makes me very happy. But I wanted to show you how I'm still making it work for me. So like in the bottom half of that habit tracker, you can see like I just have pin marks. And so the dot is where I put a sticker later when I get time to actually get out my supplies and do the thing. And then a dash means that I didn't do the habit that day. And then since I am only tracking 5 habits, the 2 blank spaces that are left, I get a line if I did 2 or less habits. I get a heart that's not colored in if I did at least 3, and then I get a heart that's colored all the way in if I did all of them. So just another way to visualize quickly at a glance. But this worked really well for me. I have not had a habit tracker that was filled in to this extent in quite a while, probably a sign that I've been trying to do too much. So I'm going to carry these same habits into this month, and I'm being really flexible with myself because 3 of my habits are physical care, nourish, and replenish. And there are multiple things that count as that for me. So I mentioned the replenish thing before, and I'm using the mood tracker in conjunction with that to get curious about what activities I'm doing most often and how that's impacting things. But for physical care, that could be moving my body, stretching, taking a long shower, doing my pelvic floor exercises, getting 8+ hours of sleep. For nourish, it could mean fruits, vegetables, or no eating out. And then I wanted to share some ideas from the Sonder fam as well. So Brenda said that they've been tracking the same habits for 7 months and they use it more for accountability with themselves. For example, one of them is to check in with their daughter. They don't need to do it every day because their daughter is grown, but it's good for them to use it and see how often they do, or she'll notice that it's been a few days and then make sure to send a text and check in. Georgie shared that they always set 3 daily goals and then 2 bonus goals that they don't stress if they don't check them off. And Stephanie said that they have been blocking off the weekends on their habit tracker to just be on those days and rest. If you start noticing like whatever days you have off when you are on vacation, your routine's going to be disrupted, right? That's what my little clouds are. I'm going to be on vacation during that time. It's really interesting to see what happens with your habits. And if you're somebody that those off days are days that you don't get your habits done, then just skip them. Maybe your only habit on those days is to rest. That is okay. And then Sharon said they always find themselves going, did I take that vitamin today? Or am I remembering yesterday when I took it? So they decided to add that onto their tracker this month. If you are not sure if something should be a monthly habit versus a weekly, again, we typically say the habit tracker should be something you want to try to focus on every day, but you can build flexibility into this. Like Georgie said, you can have 3 goals you know you want to hit every day, and then 2 that maybe you don't plan to, right? And then you can add this into different areas of your journal as well. And finally, we have some ideas and things here if you do want to add more but are not sure where to start. So I'll put on a song for you all to think about this, and then we'll wrap up our time together. Okay, so you have reflected on May, set intentions for June, set up that mood tracker, and set up that habit tracker. You're ready, y'all. You're as ready as you can be. And we would love to see how you got ready. So please share your pages in Sonder Club. We would love to see them. They might be used in a future social as examples. You never do know. And if you want to start thinking about being a sticker girly like me, or if you're already a sticker girly, we do have the June matching stickers, and I think they may still be selling that big sticker book as well. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's kind of made it a new practice for me. So I'll continue to let you all know how it's going. Yes, so they are still doing the big sticker book. I liked this too, and now I've started using them together, and it's going to be interesting. I feel like I'm going to end up with a sticker problem, but that's okay. We also have the Elevate Planner, and I believe they're still doing the 25% off on Memorial Day still. I saw it on the app this morning. So if you're thinking about getting that, the code does work on the Elevate Planner. We are still doing the Refer a Friend program. They get $10 off, you get $10 off, and then you can come to socials together. If you're able to upgrade to an annual subscription, it can save you some money, so just something to think about. And as always, please fill out the feedback survey either now or when you get the email. We would love to know what you think about your time here tonight. This social, along with all of our others, is recorded and it will be available up on YouTube in a couple of days, and Katie's going to be popping that link in the chat for you all. It does usually take a few days to come up, and obviously you don't get the chat with the event, it's just the event, but if you ever want to go back and listen, hang out. I have a friend that literally just listens to socials while she works because she thinks the music is kind of like calming, and she just, I don't know, it works for her. So there's like over 800 of them on there if you want to take a peek. And then I will also share in the chat the link to the playlist that we have today. But all of my playlists are available and searchable on Spotify, so you can always go on there and take a look. I do eventually cycle them out and everything gets dumped into that master list there. So if one of them disappears, the songs will all end up in that master list. But we had such a fun time getting ready for June today with all of you. I hope you're feeling ready to really engage and see what you can do to thrive. And until next time, we'll see you all in Sonder Club. Be good to each other.
You think you need a body next to you to keep you warm and safe and bulletproof. Guess you got comfy in the crazy, cozy in the hazy. Lies started sounding like truth. You're feeling stuck inside this vicious loop where codependence like it's super glue. So scared to face all of the changes. You're nothing but anxious. Really, what do you have to lose? Somewhere deep inside your soul, still that child you used to know. Might be wounded, you're not broke. Listen, listen close. Who told you you were hard to love? Hard to love. Who told you you weren't good enough? Good enough. Who broke your heart and made you believe that you won't be anything without her? Watch out, I break them down. Who stole all of your happiness? Happiness. Who almost pushed you off the edge? Off the edge. Don't need their arms to make you complete. Don't take a genius to see that you are. Baby, you are more than enough. You're more than enough, than enough. So raise a glass to all the baby steps, for not giving up when you were scared to death. You've been through